myself tight, 6 minutes. Hey y'all, I'm Ken. I'm the CEO of Radar. Radar is, as you can see, a proximity-based chat. If you don't get a sticker from me, please get one. And scan the code. I'll have the code up actually a few times. But in my presentation today, usually I'm pitching. I'm actually doing some really big pitches this week to some big investors. But to you, I just want to share my story and make a bit of an admission. I am very lonely. And I am very lonely here in Columbus because I only moved here about 6 months ago. I have experienced this loneliness epidemic because I'm a super social person, extremely extroverted, but I came to Columbus because my boyfriend lives here, and I was living in Florida. And I think even as an adult, talking about the loneliness epidemic, and the fact that the Surgeon General of the United States says that loneliness is similar to consuming 15 cigarettes per day, I see you nodding. You know what loneliness feels like as an adult. It's strange, it's hard for us to be an adult and network and be social. It's actually really hard, surprisingly, which it should not be, right? One of the things that I consider probably our biggest problem as adults in this world is the fact that we were sold a lie that social media was going to connect us. We were told that if we go on Instagram or TikTok, we're going to meet all these people and know all these folks, and that was going to be amazing. It was going to change our lives. But if I were to ask you right now, if you could name 3 or 4 of your neighbors, whether you live in an apartment or a house or anything right now, could you name their full names? Could you tell me their birthday? Can you tell me that you have community right now? And my answer is almost always no. And that's pitiful, I think. So that's why I built Radar. Radar is a proximity-based chat platform, specifically based on where you are physically right now. So what that means is, as you walk around Columbus, you will literally enter different real-time chat facilities. Think of it kind of like as, OSU is our target ground, but when you're in the Oval, you're talking to people who are physically in the Oval. When you're in a dorm, you're talking to people who are physically in a dorm. The idea is not rocket science, but it hasn't been done before. Radar is used to chat with folks, make friends, build community. You're gonna hear me talk about community a lot, because I am obsessed with knowing the people who are around me, because I want to exit the echo chamber. I am queer, I am in tech, I live in my own world, I invest in real estate. Does that mean I want my whole network to exclusively be that? The answer is absolutely not. I want to know everyone from all the different networks. So that's why I was so inspired to build Radar. But Radar needed to be different. We're talking about a social media app, and you might roll your eyes when I say even that we're using AI, you might also roll your eyes, because all of these are super buzzword. So I knew that we had to build something extremely different and special if it was going to make an impact and change your life. And hopefully that's what we can do. So what Radar can do, it's coming to the App Store in a week, so hopefully you guys will download it and try it out. But the concept of Radar is that we're explicit about the fact that it listens to what you talk about, which might sound scary, and we can talk about privacy afterwards. But as you talk to your friends and connections, and as you communicate locally, it learns about you. Can literally do work for you, can make friends for you, help you meet people that you wouldn't have necessarily met. But you share interests and you talk about the same things. You're gonna update a profile? No, you're not gonna put all your interests in a little profile, but it's gonna learn the things you talk about and literally warm introducing people who are close to you. What if your social media could not only help you find groups of people that you're interested in and help you find your network, but it could literally create it for you? For example, you might love cookouts, right? So does a neighbor 3 doors down, but you haven't really connected yet. But Radar can create a group in your community for cookouts. So your social media can actually do work for you to generate community. Probably the thing I'm most interested in as an extrovert is the social aspect of events. What if it could literally create events for you? For example, the Barbie movie came out. You might have several hundred people interested in going to see it together. Who wants to see a movie alone? Not me, right? My boyfriend doesn't always want to see the things I do. So what if it could create an event, get us all to join a real-time chat, and we could connect over that? That's cool, right? Literally building community based on your proximity. Seeing a lot of nods, which is great. The more you chat, the more you're understood on Radar. The idea is, as you talk, it learns about you. We're not expecting you to fill out a 400-page, dating profile. As you talk more, it will literally learn about you and help you interact with the community that you're personally interested in. Radar is also useful not only right here in Franklinton, but as you move around. When you go on vacation, when you move yourself. I just moved. One of the biggest problems is finding a new community when you move. But Radar remembers who you are and helps you find that community anywhere in the world. I'm not building this alone. I have 3 other people who are helping me build this right now. We're broken up into product and ops. If you want to understand where we kind of live in the competitive map, we're in the local and real-time communication. You'll see some gay dating apps here who are super localized and real-time communication, but you'll see that almost all social media is pushed to a global expanse, and it's not made for real time. So that's what we're trying to focus on, is real-time communication, hyper-proximity based. Talk a little bit about our go-to-market plan. We're really interested in high-density communication. So we launched at OSU. We did a really cool event where we gave out 7,000 popsicles, which is really great. If you understand CAC, or customer acquisition cost, it's only 3 cents a piece. Pretty good. So that was great. That means we also got 1,286 people. That was from last night. So hopefully when you guys sign up, we might exceed 1,300 today. But as you'll see, we got a ton of referrals. People are really interested in what we're doing. We also had mess. We made mistakes. So it was quite fun. We're just waiting on the App Store right now. So we've submitted to Apple. Our app will be live hopefully either later this week or early next week. We're supposed to launch on Monday. Whoops. We're expecting to get about 5,000 daily active users by the end of September, and hopefully by the end of October hit 25,000 when we apply to Y Combinator in San Francisco. Wow. We're raising $2 million. We have huge investor pitches. We have some money pre-committed. I can talk about that later. I am at time, 6:05. So the last thing I'll leave you with before I open up for questions is my passion for Radar is based on loneliness. I see all of you nodding, so you've all felt this at one time or another. It's hard as an adult to connect. It's really hard to build community, and I think your community is based on your proximity. So that's why I built Radar. Awesome.
Thanks so much, Ken. All right, floor's open to questions. I see the wheels turning.
I saw a lot of nods. I'm really glad you guys can resonate with this.
Yeah,
please.
So I used to serve as a pharmaceutical rep.
Okay.
And the reason I bring that up is that we would have all these like regional meetings, and yet we didn't know each other.
Mm-hmm.
So I was never single when I was a pharmaceutical rep, but I now imagine what it would have been like to be lonely and single in those contexts.
Yep.
So I'm just thinking of the possibilities of like a place-based, like where it's already like a captive audience, like career people or whatever.
Yep.
But being brought together in ways other than the breakout sessions.
Sure.
So just feeling, like there was a poker theme with some of the people. So figuring out what we do when we're not in meeting. So it's just like the application is awesome. Above and beyond being I'm relatively new in Ohio, 4 years in, but I still, other than this space and other monthly meetings that feel like home, I don't know my neighbor, and I feel like I'm also geeking out on AI, so the fact that this is another beautiful application.
Yep.
Awesome.
So let me ask you about what you said about pharmaceutical reps. So I work in sales when I have a job, and I go to a ton of conferences, right? And I even challenge you right now, if we all wanted to communicate right now, it'd be quite challenging actually. We'd have to find an app that we all can all coalesce around. We have to add each other, we have to create that. And it's I experience this at conferences all the time. I hate conference apps, I don't know about y'all, but if you go to a conference, they all have an app, it's all terrible. And so for me, all I want when I go to a conference is to be able to chat with folks that are there. I don't have to download something new. I don't have to evangelize around to get it to work. Radar's great for that too. Anywhere you're physically at, finding that proximity to people, that's kind of the genius. And it's kind of funny because again, I'm queer, so I've been using proximity-based dating apps since I was 16 when I came out. And they've always used that, and I never understood why social media did not. Because I want to meet people who are physically close to me, right? I want to know who my neighbors are. So I can go on for hours. Yes.
I'm going to ask about safety and security, especially not just physical safety and what steps you're taking to ensure safety of the user, but also of their data using AI to something is reading and deciding what interesting pinpoints are needing to be connected, like cookouts you said, or
Yeah.
running, or
Yep.
or video games or something like that. So there is something listening, and
Yep.
so how are you protecting user data as well as protecting the physical user?
So we go physical and then user data. So physical, one of the biggest pieces, our MVP, our minimum viable product, is very simple. There's only two actual functionalities: localized chat and then groups. That's it. So hyper simple for the beginning. We'll launch events, we'll launch more things in the future, but we built this app in under 60 days. So we're very proud of that, but it takes a lot of work to get that done. My answer to you about physical security is a lot about your own controls. So like when I interview women, for example, they hate the idea of being, like they want to meet people, but they don't want to show their location. And so if you imagine, like the Oval's a great example at OSU, if we're all familiar with the big park they have on campus, right? We don't necessarily have to show your physical distance. We can show you're in there. We have to show physically where you are, not like 300 feet away or something along those lines. There's lots of obfuscation, basically like hide my physical location, or don't even show me online. All of that's free, no paywall, nothing. So it's very easy for you to kind of watch but not participate if you wanted to. You can participate if you want to. So you can lurk. Yeah, I use the word lurk, but I don't know if it's bad. But you can lurk. The other side, on the AI side, we're very early in this. We know there's things like, I know that my mom has sent like my passport, on like Facebook Messenger. Do I really want that? No, right? But here we are. You might have used like something that was not encrypted to send credit card information. We know there's lots we have to do there to help the AI understand what it should and should not record, and what it should and should not add about someone. But we are explicit about the fact that we're having your conversations listened to add value to you. And like users have to decide whether that's going to be okay or not. And I'm not sure if we'll allow them to not do it because it's so core to our process. I'm not sure we can actually build Radar unless we're able to listen to what you're saying and help build your graph data about who you are for you. So it's a TBD, and it's a lot of things are going to happen. Thank you for the question. Yes?
There are some groups that are doing big data analytics and ethics of AI and things like that, and are like the woman who was who separated from Google because she was in charge of the ethics.
Yep.
Yeah, like she has her own thing, but they're one of the things that I'm doing is contacting a lot of those people in advance of forming our product.
Mm-hmm.
To ask to get their feedback early on. So since you have a minimal viable product now, you have something that then you can see how it's going to work. You're probably going to prevent a lot of problems down the road if you invest in those conversations now.
Agreed.
And doing it with people who are already like deeply embedded in that kind of work will probably really, I mean, even if it's PR, if nothing, but the actual problem solving is so much easier to build in at the beginning.
Agreed. We're also not exposing our information to a large language model. We're localizing one. So we're able to pull in a large language model from somebody else, localize it. You can use Hugging Face or whatnot. We can literally pull those in and then train our own. So we have complete control. We're not feeding information back. So it's really important to us to keep it as a closed system, because like if we're going to be explicit about like using your information to help you have like better community and better socialization, we're working very hard on this. But I'll tell you, my CTO is definitely deeper in those weeds.
Yeah.
My obsession is getting high density, high capacity communication, so the app has value. It doesn't, like if you guys don't all join and like we don't get like thousands of people in a certain location started, the app doesn't mean anything to anyone. So I'll tell you, that's definitely where our priority is, but we're not ignoring the fact that we're leveraging AI and harvesting data.
Yeah.
Yes?
I guess 2 questions. Like, so what are you listening to? And also, are you looking at white labeling it for things like conferences?
When you say what are you listening to, give me some more context. Like, what are like user information? What do you mean?
Well, I mean, by listening, is it phone conversations? Is it like?
Oh, it's all chat. There's no audio. Everything is chat based.
Okay.
So what is Radar listening to? I thought you were like, what are we listening to from like an investor standpoint? So what Radar listens to is just your chat. So it's reading it. So like, for example, if you two were talking, you're in a private DM chat, and you're like, hey, I'm going to this event this weekend. Like, I'm going to this. Do you want to come join me? He says, no, I'm not interested. But Radar might literally DM you. Our system might DM you and say, hey, there's 7 other people already going to this event. The event has a chat room. Do you want to join those folks? See if you can go together.
Wow.
Cool.
Oh, that's Cool.
Right. The idea is that it's supposed to connect you with people who are doing the thing that you're already going to be doing, but you might not have explicitly looked for that.
That's right.
You might not even know that existed.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But social media should do work for you. That's what we're doing.
Mhm.
Second question was what? Sorry.
Uh,
White labeling.
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
no. We want people to build that group on their own. We want UGC. So user-generated content. We want, like, I would want 1 million cups. Like, I want George to say, like, hey, we'll have a little chat room, boom. Like, you can join this when you're physically here. That's what we want. We don't want to. Our revenue model is not based on white labeling.
Because I mean, the other thought, I mean, this is just a weird for instance, but I think it happens to more people than know. So I was, you know, when I traveled a lot on planes, they didn't always work out the way. And I was the one who organized, like, let's 5 people rent a car,
Yeah.
you know, like,
Yep.
and get to Philly
Yep.
or wherever, you
Yep.
know, and like to have something that would support that.
Yeah, I'm the same. I'm the organizer.
Right.
And like, tell you guys a quick story real quick, and I'll go to your question. When I moved to the Gravity Building, I threw a brunch. My boyfriend and I made invitations and everything. We had 85 people of like the 300 people in our building show up, which is cool, right? Only 3 of them had ever met each other.
Wow.
So what did we do after that? We created a group chat. Now people are sharing things. Now people are doing things. But like, that happens every day in every community, in every neighborhood. We all don't know each other, and then we're like distant, and we're like nervous about our neighbors, which is so stupid, because like your neighbors are just humans like you. And so, like, that brunch really was the impetus for like, I have to do this. You know, I have to be able to like, build this kind of network. And hopefully the future is like, you can all just pop on radar and you can see people who are physically close to you when you move. So you're not trying to like desperately find a new community or start it like we do. Like, you're not investing so much energy. It already exists, or at least it's extremely easy to create. Questions?
What's the proximity? Can you set it yourself to what you want, or is it just automatically pick it up for you?
So the MVP, it's automatically set for you. In Columbus itself, we have 156 neighborhoods defined by the city. So like, for example, Franklinton has like different pockets in it. Grandview has different pockets. OSU, I think, has like 9 different chat rooms based on location, like the Oval, South Oval, certain dorms. So that will expand and contract in the future based on usage and whatnot, like how community is built. Obviously, super high density areas, like my co-founder, he lives in Manhattan. So like his will be less than a block, right? It'll have 5,000 people, and you don't want that many people in chat. So we're gonna learn what is most useful for the community. But right now, we're using just map data.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
You said a very key word 2 seconds ago, revenue.
Yeah.
Really interested in understanding where that's going to be coming from. Is it in-app ads? Is it working
Yeah.
with sponsors to do events? Tell me more.
So many things. So, as I said, our MVP is like super bare bones. We wanted to get it out there. Like, we want, you know, we're not 22 years old. We wanted to prove this actually works. So we didn't want to like build for 6 months and then crash and fail and miss the opportunity. And like, my thought is always, if you're building something like this, so are 10 other people all around the world. Like, it's nothing we're doing here is rocket science. So revenue. I'm right now obsessing on 2 things: user acquisition and revenue. Because we're in a bear market, so that means that like investors are not throwing capital. We're also way past the social media craze. So like investors aren't lining up to give us cash. So user acquisition is a huge part of my time, but the other part of my time is revenue. We want things that are non-intrusive. Most likely, because we're a social media app, we're gonna have some type of advertising. We're not really sure what that looks like. I can tell you my favorite thing right now that's super low lift, like easy to build, is on the back of a chat, letting someone paint the back of the chat. So for example, at OSU, we can have like Doritos be your background in the chat. Simple, right? But we can charge on that on a per minute basis, and we've already got appetite from like 10 brands to do that. So just putting their brand, Gymshark, and a little link to click. It's not necessarily intrusive, it's kind of cute. You're gonna screenshot things anyway when you find like funny things and send it to your friends. So there is like lasting value there, but it's not like in your face. You're not scrolling past ads, it's just the background. So there's so many things we're thinking about. Of course, if we're doing events, we would love to do ticketing. We actually, I can tell you guys a secret. Our dream is like we built a super app, right? We don't really need to leave a radar to find like deals in our community, find businesses that are opening, find events that are launching, find groups and communities. You know, it's kind of what Facebook would have been if it stuck to like its localization and not being like a rolling billboard on your phone. And so there's a lot of ways to make money here. But I'll tell you, 90% of my time is focused on user acquisition and making sure the networks make sense first. Because like nothing matters. Like you can put 1 million ads to get the subscriptions, but if we have 5,000 users, no one cares. So, but there's a lot of ways to make money. I'm not positive yet, honestly. Go ahead.
I had two thoughts, but I can only remember one right now. The other one came back. Okay, so one is you asked me earlier what I thought of this in terms of the work that I do, and autistic people. There's been studies that non-autistic people can be put off by body language of autistic people without ever meeting them. So like they won't sit at the same table in the conference and things like that. And if their encounter is via chat, that unconscious bias doesn't play a part. So in terms of networking, I think that could be very valuable for neurodivergent people and anyone with disabilities or any kind of marginalized identity. So that's good. And then the other piece is just, I spent most of my career in higher ed and most of my career with like women's centers and stalking.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's my big stalking and bullying are already so bad on campuses. So if you're going to be on campuses, what kinds of controls are you thinking about to not just enable people to hide where they are? Because one of the things that comes up is like someone is being victimized.
Yep.
But then they have to withdraw their social media.
Yeah.
Right? As opposed to the perpetrator.
Yes.
So
I've experienced it myself.
Yeah.
Like being in a queer community, there's plenty of people, when you turn them down, like there's plenty of stalkers as well, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of this comes down to controls on a per user basis. So we are intended to be a real name network, very similar to Facebook. So we do not want you to use like Jack Smith as your username. You can have a username, just whatever you want, just like your Instagram or something, your Twitter. But like we want you to use your real name and preferably a real photo of yourself, because that's how you create like an honest and quality community. You don't have like racism spewing if everyone has like a fake photo. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Yik Yak or any of these like other college apps. They're all anonymous. They are hellscapes.
Yes.
I mean, they're very bad and they're very toxic, and they tend to breed toxicity because everyone gets to be anonymous. So why not? Why would you ever behave yourself? So the way to naturally counter that is for it to be a real face network, or at least a real identity network. Now, question about stalking. It's a great question. I'm not sure how we're going to handle it yet. We need to have users on and then ask our users what they would prefer. Obviously, we can have blocking, we can have obfuscation, we can have removal. There's all kinds of things we can do. We really are going to rely on our groups and our community to like flag the people that are problematic. And of course, if you have 3 or 4 or 5 flags, our system basically says, hey, you're being a problem. We might restrict you, we might actually remove you. I'm not entirely sure what we'll do yet, but I know it's a problem and something we're going to have to consider. So I will let you know. Go ahead.
Okay, thanks. I do marketing, so I'm assuming by this that you have a comprehensive marketing plan. I just want to get some idea of the personas that you guys are using.
Yep.
And maybe you could just speak to some of the value propositions that you're putting forward, and maybe rattle off a couple of key messages that are promoted.
Sure. So our target market is 18 to 24-year-olds, specifically at universities. The reason why is they're highly viral and highly communicative, and they live on social media. When we ran our little viral campaign of giving out those popsicles, we also said people had to sign up, and we gave away some money for them to share. So that's how we got most of our shares. As you can imagine, 3 people shared it on their Instagram and Snapchat story, and they drove most of the referrals. So we're obsessed with social sharing. It's just the best way, pull people from other networks into your network who are already on their phone, yada yada, right? We want highly shareable people, so we just signed a contract with a micro-influencer. They have 300,000 TikTok followers and like 28,000 Instagram followers. We're gonna test this. I mean, that's what I love. I was telling someone about I have a 22-year-old person who works with me, Ashton, and he's like stressed out because we're constantly shifting gears. We tried this, for example, last week we built a Barbie box, literally built one, and we're gonna take it to OSU campus, and OSU said no. Great. So it's like, this is a return everything we can, and it failed, right? But that's how it works. You keep trying and trying. So currently our best model is just going after age. We don't care about race, gender, creed. We don't care about any of that. Because the message is this: you want to meet people who are close to you. And I can tell you, you're giving a college student a popsicle, you get 10 seconds. From the time they scan the thing to sign up, pull out a popsicle and cut it off. They're like, what's radar? I say a proximity-based chat. When you walk around campus, you can meet people who are physically close to you and chat with them. The answer was lit.
Yeah.
That's enough for me.
That's enough, yeah.
That really is enough. That's what I need, right? That is our marketing strategy. It's mostly product-led growth. It's rewarding people. For example, right? The background of the chat might be one of our advertiser things, and we're going to charge for that per minute. So we might reward someone with $10 of Radar credit if they invite 3 people using their link. Great. Product-led growth. We're giving away something for free. That, it's the tool we have. So we actually don't have like a really codified marketing plan, because how could we? We don't know who our users are yet. And arguably, all of you are our users. I saw almost everyone here nod. They've experienced some way they would use this. So I'll tell you in 60 days. But hit the App Store and learn a lot more, I'll tell you.
Thank you.
George, you want to
So I went to Cornell, and like suicide was and still is a thing.
Yep.
One of the thoughts that I had is we had a suicide on campus when I was a student, and it happened with one of my friends. And we created this beautiful, caring community, but like 5 years ago.
Yep.
We didn't have this technology, and what I thought would have been a beautiful thing for like building like big time community was like a simple goodnight call. Like if there were this like Uber phone chain where everyone could just make sure that they said goodnight to one other person.
Yep.
Like I'm just seeing the possibility of a goodnight, operation or initiative on different campuses where loneliness does lead to really awful outcomes. So when you're touching base with investors, depending on where they're at, loneliness, that statistic is powerful, and like suicide is a really powerful outcome to speak to. So I'm just saying like this technology could have saved lives.
Yep.
Just to really ground it in
Reality.
the energy that it really is.
Yeah. You give me chills when you talk about that, because I've experienced that too. I just think especially at college, imagine if you're not like a popular kid. Imagine if you're neurodivergent. Imagine if you're like me and you're queer. And you enter this world that's like a very traditional experience. I can tell you all I've ever wanted at a gym was to make a friend. So I didn't feel so outside of that world. And it's really interesting. College is such a high density experience. But if you don't have friends and you're alone, all you do is walk around all day long and see people that are happy with other people. And it can make it tear up. I'm trying to be emotional, but community is a really, really scary and weird thing. And as a connector, people love me because that's what I do. I go out and I take on the limb, and it doesn't hurt anything. What happens if I fail? Who cares? But most people can't do that. My boyfriend's a great example. Super introverted. Can never do it. Could not possibly have thrown a brunch, but love the experience and love being involved. I have an infinite way to use Radar. I'm really excited. I hope you guys will all scan this and sign up for our pre-launch if you don't mind. But I would love that. George?
Yeah, and this will be the last question
Okay, cool.
officially, but if we've got a little time, actually, we can hang out and engage.
10:30, yeah.
So I've got a comment and question, well, 2 comments and a question. First comment, man, I've got so many questions about this from a technical aspect. Second comment, as many lives as it can save, to Shannon's point, there's also a lot of lives that can be threatened.
Yes.
And I think about this, how can you attack the wrongdoers?
Yep.
And what immediately came to mind was something that was mentioned here last week, and part of what we bring in the community. Every single session, one of the organizers gets up and says the same thing. Not the same way all the time, but we send the same message. This is what we're here for, this time. And so it popped in my mind, and I know, other people probably thought of this, but I don't know that I've seen it that much. If you can share that message consistently throughout, I think it'll at least, people that do that anonymous stuff, it's because it's easy, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Nobody bullies, won't fight somebody that's gonna fight back.
Yep.
Right, so if you just kind of consistently make that message clear, that, and threats, and whatever you can structurally put in place without making it a barrier for people that might need it to save their life, I think that would probably be helpful, just from what I've seen, just to hear what it is, right?
No, I agree. It's going to be something we have to obsess over.
Yeah.
Making sure Because, for example, if we're recording your conversation, you're saying hateful things, and we can record that 3 or 4 or 5 times. We can basically send you a message saying, hey, you've been restricted from chatting for 30 days. Don't do this, this, and this again. Like, don't use our app for bad things. And so the AI can be equally as powerful on the like adverse side of like controlling and stopping that bad behavior.
Yeah.
It can be. We've got a lot to learn.
Right.
I'm not telling you it's gonna work even day one. Like, we're gonna try our very best, but like, I'll let you know when it comes out next week.
So to that point, lots of learning. You've done so much. I think you alluded to how long. Could you tell us how long from the point where you said, yes, I need to do this,
Yep.
to where you're at, and maybe a little bit about your background for reference, because you've definitely done some things that the typical person wouldn't be able to do in this time frame.
Sure.
And just to add on a little bit extra for spice, some of the barriers that you found in this entrepreneurial journey,
Yeah.
some of the things you have to do.
So it's what, August 29th, 30th? Yeah, we started about 60 days ago from nothing. Now, I will show you my unfair advantage. It is, come on, Lachlan, right there, the CTO. So I'm not a developer. I've been through a coding boot camp, but I cannot write code properly. Can't do it. Lachlan and I are a super interesting pair. We both worked for Satori, as you can see here, and Artur, we have previous experience. So I stole him from a previous company. I was the head of sales for Satori, a cryptocurrency company that was absolute trash. Hated it. But hey, I did it. It was a lot of money. Can't help myself. Sorry. So, met Lachlan. Lachlan also happens to be queer. Artur is a refugee from Ukraine. He literally moved to Portugal, so he had to like leave the country, and we supported him through that experience. Ash and I actually met another company I was working at. So personal relationships. I've already proven to all of these people that I am the best at what I do. And I am extremely, my favorite word, big old T, tenacious. That's what I do. I refuse to hear someone when they tell me like, oh, you can't do that. Or like, that can't be done, that's not possible. Cool, let me prove it to you. So to speak to your point about my history, I have 2 degrees in Mandarin Chinese, and I'm the first person in my entire lineage that's gone to university and speaks a foreign language. I've lived on 3 continents, China, I lived in Shanghai, I lived in Berlin, I've lived all over the US here, and I've been to 40 countries. So like, I am someone who is painfully tenacious and like obsessed. That helps when you're building a company. This is obviously also not my first. I've built several companies. I take a lot of things to the App Store. My last company was very comedic. It was when I was still single. I've been single for 6 years at that point. And I built a matchmaking company called Cupid. Pulled 70% of the matchmakers, professional matchmakers through the entire US, got them on my app. Sadly, they just stole my network. Paid a lot of money to get those people to join. If I subscribed to a matchmaker, they just stole them. So. It's not my first company. That's what I love to say is like, I've done this before, so I understand the value of an MVP. Our functionality is 10% of what we want, but that's what you have to do. Because none of this matters, none of any of this conversation matters unless we get to market and people find it useful and they actually use it on a daily basis. Because in the social network world, we don't get the same experience like an enterprise company where they're like, oh, monthly active users. No, for us, it's daily active users. How many times did you open up the app? How many times did it deliver value to you every day? So, it helps that I have a CTO who wants to build something world-changing. He's also a parent, so he's also queer. Him and his husband has started with 2 children, has a daughter and a son, and now he's looking at the world in a very different lens than he ever did before. And so that helps because you have to have conviction like deep in your heart. Like obviously we want to build a company that makes a whole lot of money. Of course, everyone does. Like it's nice to get that idea, but more importantly, it's a conversation about suicide. It's a conversation about community. It's people who, like my boyfriend, who is, not social, having the ability to move and not have to start all over and be scared to ever leave his hometown. So, it's a long way of saying I am crazy and very aggressive in my career. And I built this because it needs to exist, but also it has value to so many people.
So, last question is actually from the community.
Okay.
And first of all, I just want to say, I think on behalf of everyone, welcome to Columbus and thank you.
Well,
Thank you.
And what can we as a community do to help?
So we're in the App Store. We're in testing right now. I'm going to spend the rest of my day testing this app in Android and in iOS. We'll probably be live early next week. If you haven't already scanned this or taken one of my cute little stickers, please do. And then please tell someone about it. This only exists if we have a lot of people join it. And I love it. My email's right there, so is my phone number. If you want to text me or email me, like any ideas you have or anything, I'm open to it because we're at the birth of like a social media network. It could be really cool if we get a whole bunch of input and a whole bunch of people use it for all different kinds of ways. It could be not cool at all if no one uses it at all. So what I can use is feedback what you think the app should be. I want to hear all the criticism. I want to know like what safety you would expect. Like, what would the toggle look like? You know, we want to solve X problem, but also just share it with somebody. You know, if you'll join the pre-launch, it's like phone number, email, and name. We'll be letting everyone know early next week. And I'd love to see you guys on it and tell me what you think. And like use cases you would use it for. That'd be amazing.
Awesome. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
guys.